Hello, this is Margarita Monet from Edge of Paradise, and you are listening to the Metal Pit Podcast.
Welcome to the Metal Pit Podcast, where we delve deep into the albums and bands that shaped metal. Please visit our website, The Metal Pit, www.themetalpit.org, where you can find album reviews, interviews, and live show reviews. Also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at The Metal Pit. And for some video interviews, shorts, and audio versions of this podcast, visit our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com at The Metal Pit 666. Today, this is our last episode of 2023, and today my guest is my writer, Billy. How are you today, Billy?
All good, Blake. Thanks for having me on the podcast. Looking forward to it.
Now, this is our first two-person podcast in a long time, as we had a cancellation of somebody that was going to be with us, so we'll have to cover for that, but I'm sure we'll do fine, as we have a lot to talk about. And, well, we just came off the episode that was... Well, last week's episode was Venom's Welcome to Hell, and we're going to flip it really way over the opposite direction. And today we're doing Trans-Siberian Orchestra and different lyrical content than Venom.
That's for sure.
And we're doing, their second Christmas album, which is The Christmas Attic, which was released in 1998. 1998, yes.
Yep.
Let's see. Briefly, I'll just say Trans-Siberian Orchestra was founded in 1996 by producer, composer, and lyricist Paul O'Neill, who brought together John Oliva and Al Petrelli from Savatage, and keyboardist and co-producer Robert Kinkle to form the core of the creative team. And as I said, this is their second album. Their first was the Christmas Eve and Other Stories, wasn't it? Wait, am I confused?
No, that's right. 1996.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
And then there was the where's the other one? Sorry. Oh, and then The Lost Christmas Eve. And then there was also a DVD in there too, which featured Jewel as one of the guests. I'm not sure how many people listening to this podcast know who Jewel is. But anyway, she was one of the guests on that video. Okay. Of course, Trans-Siberian Orchestra is most known, I would say, for their elaborate concerts with the string sections, their various singers, various musical performances, the light show, lasers, and video screens, and everything going on at once, as they usually play two shows in every city, and they usually have two different sets of groups, I guess you want to call it. One playing like the West Coast of North America and one on the East Coast of North America, or meeting in the middle or whatever. And we will talk about their live shows more later. Sorry, I'm a little mixed up here. Okay, now we already did, me and Billy and Eric, or one of our other writers, did a podcast on Savatage. And we did Streets, the rock opera. So we always also already mentioned Trans-Siberian Orchestra a little bit on that episode, and about a special live show they did at Wacken that Billy happened to be at. But we'll probably talk about that again when we get to that. Now, so I guess we'll go over it again. I guess you probably heard Savatage first, and that's how you discovered Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Is that right, Billy?
Yeah, no, that for sure. Probably a lot of us discovered them that way. And it's funny because my first thoughts of TSO was a bit negative, just in the sense that, the Savatage guys were spending so much time with that, and we weren't getting new Savatage material. But then I learned to listen to it and fully appreciated it, right? Like it's obviously has a classical music slant and rock opera, so it's a bit different. But at the end of the day, it's a group of talented musicians who do a really good job with it. And it so happens to have, as you mentioned, a holiday theme, so good timing there.
Yes, and I of course knew Savatage I think it might have been Hall of the Mountain King. It might have been my first Savatage album, and even that album had the one song, the prelude before the Hall of the Mountain King, so it had a little classical influences even on that one.
Yep.
But it was mostly gutter ballet, and then of course rock was or streets. I mean, the rock opera that we already talked about on a different episode that really expanded it, and then they went off and did their thing. Because of course, Christmas Eve instrumental was on Dead Winter Dead, I believe, is the right album that was on. That was kind of,
Yeah, I think so.
and that of course is on one of the Savatage Christmas albums, or sorry, Trans-Siberian Orchestra Christmas albums. Sorry, I'm getting confused now. Okay, so we might as well just start. Did I cover everything? And I think so. Let's just start talking about the album then. So as I said, 1998, the second of their 3 Christmas albums, and it starts off with the song "The Ghosts of Christmas Eve." And I'm mostly going to let probably Billy talk about the songs. He has more information about them than I do, but I'll throw in my 2 cents as we go along. But what about the first track?
Yeah, sure. It's a good intro to the album. I think just over 2 minutes. Really just to sum up the song, it's some beautiful piano and vocals. Just the vocal melodies are really good, just strong, very well done. And I love the vocalist. And for the life of me, I can't figure out who that vocalist is. So if anyone listening could put in the comments who that is, it'd be greatly appreciated. I know most of the vocalists on the songs, but this one stumps me. But yeah, I think it's a great opening to the album, a slower piece, but very effective.
And yes, I love the piano too. I love that kind of piano playing, even though it's not necessarily a sad song. I mean, it's just an instrumental, but the piano playing kind of, or no, it's not an instrumental. Sorry, there's a singer, of course. You said that,
Yep.
But I mean, it's the piano is kind of, I don't know, makes me sad a little bit, even though I think it's great. It's just the tone of the piano and stuff that does that. And I was going to mention the lineup. I forgot to mention the lineup. Now I'm not going to mention the whole lineup of Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Let me just find it. Sorry. Here, wait. Let's go to song 2 because I'm kind of mixed up here. I lost my space. So we'll go to the Boughs of Holly, which is Boughs of Holly. Sorry, which is an instrumental, and this is more of a traditional Christmas song. So what do you think of the Boughs of Holly?
Yeah, no, it's a good one, and we see throughout this album they'll sort of bounce between instrumentals and vocal driven songs, so it gives some good variety to it. I mean, the song itself is really mainly 2 instruments. It's guitar and keyboard driven, but certainly a very festive feel given the theme of the album, so it works well. I mean, essentially, it's Paul O'Neill who's the mastermind behind TSO and all the late co-writer of the later Savatage albums. It's essentially his reworking of Deck the Halls, the standard Christmas carol. So but good, like a lot of this, good musical orchestration. I think the interesting thing and why TSO is so popular, and why, Blake, you said they can have 2 touring groups of musicians, 2 shows per city, is just the music. Unlike classical music that's very complex and could put you to sleep, just this stuff is really easy to grasp, and great melodies, and generally very memorable. So I think it just appeals to so many people. So yeah, a good instrumental to get the album going.
Yes, and like, because I'm sure there's people like that, they don't know anything about heavy metal, but they hear Trans-Siberian Orchestra or they see some videos and think, well, let's go watch them. And they're probably seeing these guitarists for the first time shredding and not knowing what shredding means. Or whatever, but they're enjoying it. And then somebody might tell them, this started from a heavy metal band or whatever, and they would probably think you're crazy thinking that it did, but it did. And then, of course, you got the heavy metal fans like us that are going to want to see it because we know these guys that are in the band, that the El Petrillis and Chris Caffrey's that are in these bands, or that were in Savatage and then later in this band. And so it's kind of accessible to everybody. And of course, the kids to the older people, because you got the light shows. And even if the kids don't maybe like the music, I'm sure they're going to like all the light shows and everything that's going on too.
Yeah, absolutely.
in their live shows, which again we'll talk about more later. I will say, okay, now I'm not going to mention the whole performers on this album because there's too many, and then our hour would be over. But I will just mention, of course, I did mention Paul O'Neill's the producer. You mentioned him too, and Robert Kinkle is also the co-producer. And we do have, let's see, Jeff Plate is on the drums. John Lee Middleton is on the bass guitar. I think he was in Savatage too, wasn't he?
Yep, for sure.
Okay. And then we had Paul O'Neill and Chris Caffery on rhythm guitars, and Al Petrelli on lead rhythm and bass guitars, and John Oliva on vocals, piano, keyboards, and also bass guitar. It says, I'm not sure how many vocals. I guess you might know someone know that how many if he did some vocals on this album. There's just
He
so
did some
many
backing vocals, sadly.
Oh, okay. So then we go to track 3. Oh, by the way, I did like I love the instrumental too there, as I love it when they do a take on the traditional Christmas songs. Yes. Because it always sounds great with the shredding and stuff like that. So then we go to the world that there's 2 in a row here. You might as well talk about them both at the same time, I suppose, or like one after the other. We got the world that she sees, and then we got the world that he sees.
Yeah. So starting with the world that she sees, not I talk about making it complicated for us in titles, but so this song I find a bit intriguing because if you look at the songwriting credits, this is the first one with John Oliva who co-wrote this song. So I don't know how you feel, Blake, but right off the bat, this song to me has a real Savatage feel. Like this opening piano melody has John's name written all over it. Like he's got to be responsible for that.
Yes.
And then from a vocal perspective, this is a male vocalist, Jody Ashworth. I just think he's such a deep and rich vocal tone. Like it works really well. I mean, the songwriting is relatively straightforward, but just the piano and the emotional vocals. I mean, John and Paul write this stuff so well, right? You know, stuff like this is what made Streets of Rock Opera so good. And the chorus is just ridiculously catchy and memorable. So a good one for me. And then you got in contrast, you got the world that he sees this time. A longer song. This one gets into the 5 minute range. And so interestingly, John's not writing this one. So I can feel a difference when I listen to what she sees and what he sees. There's actually a bit of a difference. Like I said, but otherwise, other than John not writing, everyone else is the same singer. So not surprisingly, just as I loved the previous track, this one's great. Same things. Again, that big memorable chorus. Jody Ashworth is incredible on vocals. Just all this power, but then also all this feeling in what he's singing, right? So you can just really like connect to the music. So I think they're both really good songs. Probably the second one, what he sees, I like a little more than what she sees.
Okay. And also another thing I was going to mention before we started this, and of course I forgot, but these are mostly concept albums, even though you think it's kind of weird sometimes when they throw in a traditional Christmas song in there. But if you go to their website, you can read this whole stories about these albums. And like this one, there's a little, you can see in the cover of the album too, where there's a little girl who goes up to the attic, named the Christmas Attic, of course. And she finds a trunk full of old Christmas cards and letters and things like that. So supposedly this album, the songs are the different stories from those cards and letters that she finds up there. And so that is this concept of this album. So then we go to Midnight Christmas Eve, which is another instrumental. And I'll let you go again, Billy.
Yeah, no. So again, what I think I mentioned it earlier, but the way they break up the vocal tracks and the instrumentals works pretty well here, and I guess this is sort of a semi instrumental in a way because they're constantly using a children's choir in this song, which I think is very effective. I like it. Track again, heavy on keyboards and musical orchestration, but like the whole song slowly builds, and then we get this really great melodic guitar lead by Chris Caffrey. So that's pretty cool. And that reoccurring musical theme through the orchestration is again just super catchy. So I think it works well. I like it. And again, this is also a John Oliva co-written song for the Savatage fans listening.
Now, yeah, this is Midnight Christmas Eve. They had two instrumentals back to back, so I'm not sure why they did that. But the next
Yeah.
one is the March of the Kings slash Hark the Herald Angels Sing, which of course is a traditional Christmas song. And so, what do you think of this instrumental, Billy?
Yeah, no, I think it's good. It's about 4 minutes. So yeah, odd that it's the second in a row. I think this is the only time on the album they place two together. But yeah, again, same thing I'd say here. Just heavy on the orchestration piece, but again, the musical themes are just easy to absorb and enjoy quickly. Like anyone can come in, listen to this, and enjoy it. And then, of course, you'll recognize little pieces of a Christmas Carol that you've probably heard a million times. But Blake, as you said, obviously a metal spin or a hard rock spin on the Christmas Carol.
Yes, I'm sure this is played a lot live. I do have that page somewhere on my computer here.
Oh, I forgot to look that up. That'll be interesting. Yeah.
But they do that, but they, like we said about them touring and how they play multiple shows at the same time. So, there's a lot of live. So, which this one, this just says it's been played 36 times live. Now, I don't know how accurate, again, this website is setlist.fm, but, other song, I guess we haven't got to a few of these other ones. So we'll come back to this, but there is a lot that have been played like slots, like over 200 times. And, there's only a few that haven't been played a lot, but
Okay. Yeah.
and it's like their fifth highest album playing. Well, I'd say their fourth highest album playing live. The other two Christmas albums, they've played more songs from those ones live for some reason.
Interesting.
Anyway, and I did like that instrumental too. Of course, when you do get into the stuff that sounds like Hark the Herald Angels Sing, and of course, it reminds you of when you're a kid and listening to the Christmas carols. Or I guess you don't have to be a kid, but I mean, for me anyway, it was more like that. I don't think I listen to Christmas carols too much nowadays. And then we go to the three kings and I, and then in brackets, it's what really happened. And so, what do you think of this one, Billy? Oh, this is jazzy, isn't it? Go ahead, Billy.
Yeah, no. So this one really kind of it stands out for two reasons. It's either the longest or the second longest song on the album, right? 6.5 to 7 minutes.
Yes.
But yeah, this thing is like super bluesy, but also super jazzy as well. So it feels like an outlier. Like I know when I first heard it, I wasn't a big fan of it, but like it has kind of grown on me through time. Like this is a singer called Daryl Pettiford on vocals, and so he's like a super bluesy singer too, right? Like that bluesy rasp that you would hear, maybe a bit like Van Morrison, but even raspier. But yeah, so I think it does well. I do like towards the end when they actually bring in the vocal choir, and there's like a backing singer, Marlene Daniel, who has a great counterbalance. She's more of a soulful vocal. That's sort of countering Daryl. So the song is long. You gotta like bluesy jazzy. If you don't like that, you're gonna have a problem with it. And it feels like an outlier compared to the rest of the album, but I don't mind it.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't mind it either. It's funny. I was talking to our other writer, Ken, before, like earlier today, and he was saying about how he likes jazz, and then I got into this hour, and oh, he must like this song then, I'm assuming, because he does like Trans-Siberian Orchestra as well. Then we go now. The next one is this an instrumental? Christmas Canon. I'm confused. I know there's a children's choir on this one. I can't remember. Oh yeah, no, there is vocals. There's female vocals on this. Do you know who the singer is for this one or not?
This one I thought, Blake, there was only a child choir on this,
Oh,
unless I'm wrong, but
okay. Maybe it's just also in the background vocals then.
yeah, it could be. Maybe I didn't. It's definitely not like a lead vocalist.
No, no.
But this is interesting just because I actually knew the classical musical piece. In addition to being a diehard metal fan, I also dabble a bit in classical and jazz. But this is actually based on a famous German composer named Johann Pachelbel. Hopefully, I'm saying that right. But he has a piece of work called Canon in D. And so Paul O'Neill, this was a melody that he liked. So he kind of reworked it. It doesn't sound exactly the same, but there is sort of a melody that sticks from the original. But again, I think it's really piano and orchestration. That main theme keeps coming back. It's actually done quite well. It's a pretty beautiful piece, and the child choir just kind of adds this haunting feel to it. So I think it's pretty good. I don't mind it.
Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite TSO songs because I don't know. Every time I hear a children's choir, it does feel haunting. I don't know. I don't think it's supposed to. I don't know. Is a children's choir supposed to be haunting? But yes, it does sound haunting and kind of chilling a little bit. But it's supposed to be in a good way. I believe anyway. But yes, I've always thought that too. And yeah, this is probably my favorite song on this album from listening to it today. Okay. And yeah, I always love the children's choir when they throw them on any of these songs or anything. It's just like the Heal My Soul one there on the streets, the rock
don't
opera
even get
one.
me started. Yeah, that's an amazing one.
Yeah, but yeah, there's a very beautiful song with the very beautiful singing there. Okay, then we go to they have some really long song titles here. Joy of Man's Desire / Angels We Have Heard on High. And this is another slower one, but we do have some nice melodic guitar solos in here for me to enjoy. So what do you think of this one?
Yeah, no, I mean, really, it revolves around two themes, right? So the music, the musical orchestration is completely led by guitar, right? So it's so unique. Lots of like the leads are like really expressive on this one, so that stands out to me. And then the vocals of Peggy Harley. So just she's massively powerful and soulful in her vocal delivery. So that sort of expressive guitar lead and her voice kind of going back and forth, I think it works really well. Good track, and another one that John Oliva had a big part in writing.
And I think some of this is taken from the Johann Sebastian Bach. I don't know. I guess that's the Angels We Have Heard on High. I'm not positive on that, but some of it is taken from that. And then we go to Find Our Way Home. And yes, what do you think of this one, Billy?
Yeah, no, really like this one. And so, not to sound repetitive, but this is another John Oliva song. So it has a massive Savatage feel to it. Obviously, a John influence. Vocals are just an incredibly passionate vocal performance from Thomas Faris. Deep voice, again, a raspy voice. Like I really get the sense they wrote this song with him in mind to sing it. And again, just another killer, super catchy chorus. This thing sticks in your head. A great track. I like it. Anything that John contributed to on this album is fantastic. I mean, so it's good overall, but I really love the John songs.
Yes. And then we go to Appalachian Snowfall. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
practice these words before we came on. And this is another instrumental. And for me, like I don't mind all the singing and stuff. I seem to like the instrumentals more on this album than I do the ones with the vocals. Even though some of the later albums, like Beethoven's Last Night album, the non-Christmas album, but I really do love some of the vocals on some of those songs there. So I don't know what that is about, but yes, I really love the instrumentals that are on here. As you know, they're mostly getting into some good soloing and stuff like that on them. So that's probably why I like them. So what do you think of the song?
Yeah, no, I enjoy it quite a bit. I mean, for me, this one really, I don't know if you find it, Blake, but the beginning of the song and the end of the song, even though John Oliva is not a part writer, it sounds so much like a street type musical. The beginning and the end, maybe not as much in the middle, but again, one of the main sort of orchestration pieces on the album. Again, I like it because the guitar takes the lead. Like this album, like in some of their albums, you get a lot of like electric violin and stuff that kicks in, but here the guitar is sort of one of the key instruments here. So that comes forward in this song, and that main orchestration, like musical theme that comes in and out of this song, again, just very catchy. And so yeah, I enjoy it.
And so this is probably my second favorite song on the album.
Okay.
I guess. I don't know. Okay, then we go to the music box. And I think Paul O'Neill wrote this one from what I see here. And this is a lot of the, there's even though the instrumentals, like you say, are kind of bringing some Savatage in there. It's like it sounds like it could be Savatage on the Streets album, like you said. But some of the ones with the vocals are really different from that.
Yeah.
And so what do you think of the music box?
Yeah, no, I enjoy this. It's a beautiful piece. Obviously, a slower piece. I mean, the vocalist is Katrina Chester on vocals. And, not your typical like heavy metal singer, but very warm. The vocals are very warm, like lots of character to them. And essentially, she's paired with an acoustic guitar right through the song. So it's fairly quick, 3 minutes, but again, another like nice, memorable musical piece. I think very simple vocals, acoustic guitar, but I think it works well.
Now, not that it matters too much. They've played that song 7 times live.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just noticed that. Thought I would mention it. Then we come to, because actually there's the later song on here. Oh, I thought it was the same title. I was confused, but we'll get to that and I'll figure that out. Okay, then we go to The Snow Came Down, and another slower one, but some great piano playing in here that I like. Usually I don't really like piano. I only like piano when it's played like this. Mostly. I mean, I like Deep Purple's John Lord's piano playing,
Oh
or
yeah.
Dream Theater with Jordan Rudess there,
Yeah.
or other guys play it. But more or less, I don't listen to bands with piano and stuff in it, but I do love, John, of course, is amazing on the piano, and that's why I love it for that reason. So, what do you think of The Snow Came Down?
Yeah, no, this is actually one of my favorites for sure here. This just might be one of the tracks that remind me most of Savatage, later era Savatage. That's like very piano driven. It's exactly like Savatage, like from a vocal melody perspective. The music is totally a Savatage thing. Like I could totally in my head envision Zach Stevens singing this song in one of the later albums. Although I think John would do a great job on it as well. But this is the vocals. The vocals are good. Like Thomas Faris, we mentioned him earlier. Slow, emotional vocals on this track. I mean, again, so much feeling, so emotive. They're raw, kind of some of the words we use to describe John on some of those great ballads on Savatage Streets album. Beautiful piano work sprinkled throughout the song. Another super catchy chorus. Just a great track. One of my favorites.
And then we go to Christmas in the Air, and this is a little bit it's still like a semi I don't know,
Yeah.
kind of a semi-rock ballad, I guess you might want to call it, or
Yeah.
something like that, even though I guess there's lots of ballads on this album, really. But this is a little bit heavier, a little bit more explosive than the other ones are. But what do you think of Christmas in the Air?
Yeah, another favorite of mine. Like we're getting into a run of three incredible songs. The Snow Came Down, Christmas in the Air, and we'll talk about Dream Child coming up here shortly. But yeah, this is just another one. Like just it opens with a beautiful, delicate piano. The vocals again. This is a singer just like that first track. I think it might be the same singer, but don't know who it is. But he's fantastic. The vocals are so powerful, but they just burst with melody. Like just addictive chorus again. Like I sound repetitive, but this is actually a track I would love to hear John Oliva. This would have been a good one for him to jump in and sing if he wanted to do one of the lead vocals. So yeah, I'm a big fan. Like that 3-song run I talked about are fantastic.
And you can continue and talk about the 7-minute Dream Child.
Yeah, I know. So again, as you said, Blake, another sort of semi ballad or ballad. Like I mean, this has a killer vocal performance by somebody named Joe Sarasano, and again, just powerful vocals, but so much emotion in them. The acoustic guitar pairing with Joe singing, fantastic. The song's just an emotional powerhouse. I love it. It's funny at times. When I hear his vocals, it kind of reminds me of Neil Diamond in a way, but not Neil Diamond in a bad way. Neil Diamond still in a good way, like if that makes sense. Like often when I hear it, I keep thinking like just the tone reminds me a bit of Neil Diamond.
I don't think I could recognize Neil Diamond. I mean, I know who Neil Diamond is, but I don't think I could say, yes, it does sound like Neil Diamond because I don't think I've listened
Yeah.
to Neil Diamond enough.
I
Then
have a
we
wife
go,
who likes him, so I
yeah.
know what he sounds like.
Then we go to the second last track on this album, An Angel's Share. This has a little more jump again than some of the other songs on the album. What do you think of this song?
Yeah, no, so you're right. Definitely a little more jump, but it's actually not a favorite of mine. To me, it's like so obviously very 100% rock opera, but it's a little too Broadway for me. So like I'm not the biggest fan. I mean, the vocalist is Marlene Daniel. Who returns here on this song, but a little too much. Like to me, it's like they're trying too hard for a rock opera sound here to close out the album. So it doesn't work as well for me, but that's just a personal taste.
And then we finish off the album with Music Box Blues. Now, this is the song they've played the most of live from this album. It says 421 times, almost twice as many as any of the other songs. So, what do you think of Music Box Blues to finish off the album?
Yeah, so I enjoy this one. Like this is the that bluesy. If you think back to that bluesy, jazzy song, this is the second song by that singer, Daryl Pettiford. But I think he does a good job here. I like it better. It's still very bluesy. But he's actually there's some great like backing vocals and vocal harmonies happening on the album. So I think that works better. I mean, there's parts where Daryl's just wailing here on his vocals, and you have those backing vocals and vocal harmonies. I think it works pretty well. So music takes a backstage on this track. It's all about the vocals. Unfortunately, I guess for us music fans, but overall, I think a strong song. Another long one too, though, up there, 6 minutes, but good track.
Yes, they make all these Christmas albums are long and multiple songs. We got the other one has 23 songs on it. That's why I shied away from that one for the podcast because I didn't know if I wanted to talk about 23 songs, even though I'm sure a lot of those are instrumentals too. But I was reading some reviews of this album And people can say what they want to say, but I just read one where they said if you had their first Christmas album, don't buy this one. It's a waste of time. But I'm thinking, I mean, it's a Christmas album. What do you expect? They're going to be Christmas songs.
Yeah.
And like he's saying, it just sounds like the first one, I think, but doesn't every AC/DC album sound like an AC/DC album? I don't really understand that. But anyway, I
Yeah.
just thought that was odd. Now, to rate this album, like now I'm like I think this is probably my least favorite of the three Christmas albums myself, but I'm going to give it, say, 7.5 is what I'm giving it, just because I would like more of the rockin' Christmas songs like they do in some of the albums. But like I say, they're all long, so it's kind of hard to keep for an hour and whatever it is, an hour and 10 minutes. I think this one is. It's hard to keep it up for so long on the album. What
Yeah.
would you rate this album yourself?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much with you there, Blake. I had an 8. I mean, just in general, I mean, I don't know that I would ever give a Christmas album a 10, but
Yeah.
maybe if you're being fair, like you'd have to rate it as a Christmas album. You can't compare it to like Exodus, Bonded in Blood, or Slayer, Rain. I mean, so
Yes.
we've got to be realistic. But I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think 8 is fine. I think it's the album's done well. And at the end of the day, to your point, some ratings, ratings can be bad on TSO. But I mean, the proof is in the pudding, right? These guys are selling out stadiums. They're doing 2 shows a day. They've got multiple people touring the country. This is just incredibly successful. And as much as I love Savatage, in terms of ticket sales and music sold, TSO just dwarfs Savatage. But
Yes.
the flip side to that, though, Blake, I mean, I always sort of get happy in the fact that this is really giving the Savatage guys a nice life, right? They make some excellent money on this thing. It's how they make their living, and so it kind of gives them the reward for all that great Savatage, the financial reward for the great Savatage work.
Yes. But like you did say, it probably did take away from us getting more Savatage music. But I'm sure, like you say, they make a lot more money with Trans-Siberian Orchestra, where they can go to a whole bunch of different people, not just heavy metal fans.
Yep.
And have everybody like it. I think probably what would be your favorite Trans-Siberian Orchestra album? Can you pick one of the ones that you would say is your favorite album?
Does
Not
it
just
have
the
to
Christmas
be?
ones, but any albums.
I mean, I've always liked Christmas Eve and Other Stories just because it was a first. But
Hmm.
I'm also a big fan of, I think when we were talking about a podcast, I threw out Beethoven's last night. But, as you rightfully noted, it probably makes sense to stick with a Christmas theme this time of the year. Also, one of the later ones, 2009 Night Castle. I was recently spinning that, and I enjoyed that one quite a bit as well.
Yeah, I think my favorite would be Beethoven's Last Night, as I do
Yeah.
love some of the songs on there, and maybe we will do a podcast on that sometime. But yeah, I did think we should stick with Christmas since we're right around Christmas. And since, they are on tour, I don't know, maybe I'm not sure. I guess the tour is probably still going on. Sometimes they still are playing past Christmas too. But no, let's see. I have seen, usually we talk about seeing them live. Now, I've seen them live once. I can't really recall the exact year. I did look up some information earlier. It was probably in the 2000s that I seen them because I remember Anna Phoebe was one of the electric violinists. So I remember seeing her and thought, oh, she's awesome. So I went and got one of her albums or whatever. So that's when I seen them. So it's been many years since I've seen them. When was the last time you seen them?
So probably I would say 2018 in Philadelphia,
Okay.
one of their normal tour runs. So yeah, I think you hit on it earlier, Blake. Like a great show to watch. All the there's so many vocalists and musicians and electric violins, electric cellos. I mean, the thing's quite impressive to see. Great light show. The guitar solos, it's just fantastic. But yeah, I would say to this day, one of my favorite concerts of all time was, and I know I've hit on this, so I won't go into it in too much detail, but like 2015 Wacken Open Air in Germany, when Savatage reformed, and they basically did this landmark concert. And to my knowledge, the first time it's ever been pulled off. But two giant stage side by side, Savatage on the left, TSO on the right, and actually playing in sync together. One of the greatest moments of my concert life, if you will. Just fantastic. I mean, TSO backing up Savatage on Savatage songs, and Savatage backing up TSO. The thing was a production that you have to see to believe. It was just incredible. Paul O'Neill and the guys were in hiding for like 2 months practicing to pull this off, because the people can't see each other, right? They're on two different stages, so they had to sync this thing perfectly. And yeah, they pulled it off. And to this day, why there's no damn DVD of this show, I just do not understand. And every show is filmed at Wacken with professional photography and big cameras on. Like moving cameras across the stage. So there's no reason for it. I don't know. Maybe there's some legal dispute or something, but that's got to be seen by everybody.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's too bad they didn't, release it on DVD or whatever, because yes, that would be good to see. Now, have you ever, besides that, did you ever see Savatage live?
Yeah, no, yeah, like
Yeah.
probably 4 or 5 times. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I ever got to see Savatage that I can recall anyway, because I know I went to a lot of concerts in the 80s, but I'm pretty sure I never got to see them for some reason.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, no,
yeah.
they're good. Yeah, definitely a great band to see. Hit or miss. I think I don't know if I mentioned it on the Savatage podcast. Like on the Streets of Rock Opera tour, I saw them in Montreal, which is a huge metal city in Canada.
Mhm.
And the tour, they had like maybe 50 people in the whole place to see them, which was just incredibly disappointing. Again, back to like, I'm so glad to see them like making millions on the TSO thing.
Mhm. Yeah, so that is, maybe that's why. Maybe that is what they say. We got to stop doing this
Yeah.
for 50
Well,
people. But anyway, anything else you want to add about Trans-Siberian Orchestra?
no. I think no. I think that sums it up. It doesn't look like we've had a new album since 2015, so that's kind of interesting. And I guess the other thing to say is, all this is Paul O'Neill, right? So I don't know, like with unfortunately, Paul has passed on.
Yes.
He died very suddenly a few years ago. So maybe that's why there's no new album. And like, I know John's been trying to organize these shows and he's had his own share of problems. So, yeah, it's interesting to see where the direction of this will go and who will lead the whole thing in the vision.
Yes. Yeah, I don't, I mean, I'm sure they probably make more money touring than they do releasing an album, which I guess is
Yep.
the way for everybody nowadays, but especially for them when they're doing two shows in every city
Yeah.
in multiple cities at the same time. I know there's lots of people, of course, to pay, but still, and it's always a Christmas tradition. Not sure how many years they've been doing it now, but it is. And I did see on Spotify they released, well, it's the Ghosts of Christmas Eve album, but they have a narrated version. I'll have to check that out later. I've never even seen that, but I did read about it, about how they have some narrated versions. So, which
Hmm.
probably read in the story about the songs and stuff. So, if anybody's interested, maybe go check your Spotify or iTunes or whatever it is and see if you can find that on there, because it might be interesting to listen to. There's also supposed to be one
Yeah.
for Streets, also is supposed to be a narrated one, but I have not found that yet myself.
Yeah. Me neither.
Okay, so then we're going to finish off this episode with our top 10 favorite Christmas movies, since we're in the Christmas theme here. And I guess I'll let you go for mine's a little more scary than yours, probably. So, so I'll let you do your top 10 Christmas movies first.
Okay. Yeah. And I think, as you're about to see, there's in no way, shape, or form would I classify mine as scary in any way. Uh, so, My number 10 is Polar Express. So again, just an excellent modern animation movie with Tom Hanks is probably the biggest lead. And so, this young boy takes a train ride and by the end of it learns the meaning of Christmas. So my number nine and eight, I'm cheating a little bit because they're not necessarily a movie, but when I think movies, they're just like they're classic. It's what I grew up on. So
Mhm.
my number nine is not the movie because the movie sucks, but the TV show How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So the original one, the old fashioned animation. For me, it's just iconic. Watching it every year as a kid, and so I'm a sucker for happy endings. So the Grinch does the right thing in the end. So that's really good. And then on the same theme for number eight, I'm going a Charlie Brown Christmas. So those two just got to be hand in hand. I still watch them. Like my wife and I watched both of these like the other day. So they're great. Again, the theme just at Christmas not being all about commercialization; it's about the spirit. So
Yes.
you can see my theme about not horror driven in any way here. So my number seven is a movie that if Die Hard is considered a Christmas movie, then I'm calling this a Christmas movie. It's called Why Him. It stars James Franco. It's a hilarious comedy. Like he's like a rich billionaire, and he meets his girlfriend's parents for the first time at Christmas. I think it's one of the funniest movies of all time. And Kiss have a reoccurring role in it. And at the end, he uses Kiss to come down the street and help him propose to his girlfriend and all their makeup and
Okay.
everything. So it's cool. If you haven't seen it and you like comedy, then that should be good. Number six is Elf. I mean, Will Ferrell just nails this role. I think he's pretty funny in it, but he was born to play that role. Number five, probably the OG of Christmas movies, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Another one I always got to watch, but admittedly, it's getting, after seeing it so many times, that one's a little harder to keep watching. Number four is a bit of a surprise, maybe a chick flick. Love Actually. I really like that movie. But multiple love stories happening during Christmas, so that's a good one. I'm into that one. Uh, Three is a movie called The Family Stone. So this is a family. It's a drama movie reuniting for Christmas, but the mother's dying of cancer. Diane Keaton. It's filled with famous actors, but just a good family holiday story, but with a sad ending. Hopefully, I didn't give it away there. I guess I did. Uh, Number two is a super funny and vulgar movie. It probably shouldn't be a Christmas movie, but Bad Santa. It obviously is, but it's totally like turning the dial on what a Christmas movie is. And then my number one, it's been a favorite since I first saw it in the theaters when I was a young boy, A Christmas Story. So little Ralphie wanted his Red Ryder BB gun, and at the end, he actually shot his eye out, but he was able to recover nicely from it. So that's what counts. And interestingly, they actually did a sequel to this last year, I think, and all the same people came back, and it's really good. It's called Christmas Story Christmas. Not as good as the first, but very enjoyable if you like the first and you haven't seen it. I think that's a must. But yeah, that's my top 10. Very different than perhaps yours, I think.
Well, we matched two, so
Okay.
I'll mention I didn't because I actually thought when I told you let's do top 10 Christmas movies, I was actually going to say, oh, you can include TV shows if you wanted
Okay.
to, which you already did, but I didn't on mine just because I didn't bring it up. But yes, I love those two that you mentioned, the cartoon Grinch movie or TV show, whatever, TV
Yeah.
special, and the Charlie Brown one. And yes, if I ever see it on, I do try to watch it. There was also some Canadian one. I didn't look it up, but there was some otter Christmas thing. Do you remember seeing that with a bunch of otters? And
No,
I
no, it
can't,
doesn't ring a bell.
I'll have to, there was some otters jug band or something in it. Like these otters, like it was for kids, of course, this thing. So that's where I remember it from when I was a kid. But he was trying to raise money so he could buy his mom a gift. So they started a jug band or something and
I don't
whatever. But
remember that one.
I'll look the name up and send it to you, and you can
Okay.
watch it if it's possible, if I can remember the name. Okay, so let's get to my list here. Now, hopefully I don't scare anybody with my list. Okay, so number 10, I have a movie from 1984, which is called Silent Night, Deadly Night, which I'm not going to say much about. It was just a slasher horror movie where somebody dressed up like Santa Claus and, did things that he shouldn't be doing. Number 9, I have Home Alone, which isn't horror, but there's some scary moments in it if you really if you let it be, but it's just a hilarious movie and I still like it if I ever happen to see it. Number 8, I have another horror movie with Krampus, which was from 2015 about a Christmas demon, but I'm not going to get into that one either. Number 7, I got Die Hard. As you mentioned that, not as one of your lists, but as if that's a Christmas movie. So yes, I have Die Hard there. Number 6, I have Black Christmas. This is from 1974. This is one of the first, I guess you would say, slasher kind of horror movies ever made, and it's Canadian actually, and it starred Andrea Martin, who got her start on SCTV here in Canada, and then went on to a bunch of famous shows. And Margot Kidder, who of course was also in this. I think isn't she Canadian too? Isn't she Margot Kidder?
I think so, right? Yeah, I think so.
And she, of course, was in Superman movie, the first Superman movie, as that got her the fame. Okay, so number 5. Oh, and I'm not going to say anything else about Black Christmas in case people want to go watch it. Number 5 is Office Christmas Party. Now, this is from 2016.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember this movie? Okay, with Jason.
That's a good one. I forgot about that.
And Jennifer Aniston are the two biggest characters in it. Jason, I love like every Jason Bateman movie I think I love.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that would have made mine, I think, if I remembered.
But yeah, that was a funny one and stuff there. Number 4, we have a copy here as I have Elf. That's number 4. Yes, that's a funny movie. And I just saw it the other day. It was on, well, it's on probably every day right now. But...
Yeah, exactly.
And number 3, I have one that you hate, I guess, but I do have the movie, the Grinch movie with Jim Carrey. What don't you like about that movie?
I don't know. I think he's trying too hard to be the Grinch, which often happens with Jim Carrey. He just tries too hard. He turns me off.
Well, he's an overactor, I guess, but I don't know. Exactly, he's funny, and he's Canadian too.
Yes, he is.
And he also sang with Cannibal Corpse in a movie.
Yeah, Pet Detective Part 1.
Yes. Yeah. Which was funny, I thought too. And I also like in the movie because there's the girl who plays Cindy Lou, Taylor Momsen, who is now the singer of a hard rock band called The Pretty Reckless, who I actually love. I actually love The Pretty Reckless. So I think it's cool. She was a little girl back in this, and now she's a singer, and she's definitely different than the little blonde girl she was in this movie.
I bet.
Okay, at number 2, I have National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. It's still like, again, I would watch that anytime. If I see that on TV, I'm watching it. As I love Chevy Chase, of course, and well, everybody that's in that. And it's funny because Beverly D'Angelo, of course, is Chevy Chase's wife in those National Lampoon series. Okay, and my number 1 favorite horror movie is Violent Night, which is, it's not really, I wouldn't really call it a horror movie because it's not scary. But yes, there's a lot of deaths in the movie. But it stars David Harbour of
Stranger Things.
But he was the cop guy in the Stranger Things, and he plays Santa Claus in this movie, Violent Night. And I don't want to give anything away. I'll just say it's kind of, the movie is like Die Hard meets Home Alone, where Santa Claus lands on top of a house. And for some reason, his reindeer leave him on the top of this house. And then this house gets hijacked by people that are trying to rob the people's house and all the money the people that have in the house. And so it's a cool movie. It's not, like I say, it's not scary unless, of course, you're a little kid and you're thinking Santa Claus is going to get killed. So if you're not a little kid, But anyway, he's playing Santa Claus. It's a pretty cool movie. And if you like violence and stuff like that, and there is a little girl in the movie that is trying to help Santa Claus out, get rid of these bad people that are in it. But yeah, it's a great movie, I think. And actually, in the mom that owns the house is Beverly D'Angelo from the National Lampoon's movies,
Oh, okay.
which is kind of interesting too. And I didn't even notice that the first time I watched it. I didn't even pay attention because she doesn't have a big part in it, but she is in it. And so, yeah, that's my favorite Christmas movie. And that just came out last year.
Oh, it did? Okay.
Yes. So if you don't mind
Yeah.
killings, if you like Die Hard, it's similar, and you'll see why when you watch it. But I don't want to give anything else away on it.
Okay. Yeah, I
So
think at
there,
least half yours I never heard of. I got some movie watching for Christmas Day, and if it scares everyone, Blake, I'm going to blame you.
well, I don't know, that Silent Night, Deadly Night. I don't think you should probably waste your time on that one. That's just kind of on here for shock value because it was a. They also had a sequel. I forget what the sequel was called. I don't think it was called Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. It was something else, but it was
Okay.
still the same thing. But I don't
Horror
think they
movie
did that
likes
popular.
their sequels, right?
Yes. But and let's see, Krampus. I'm not sure. It's been a while since I watched it. I just remember I like that one. And yeah, like I
Never
say,
heard of it.
Black Christmas is like one of the first slasher movies ever. And they've remade Black Christmas, so make sure like they remade it a few years ago. So if you did want to see the original Black Christmas, make sure it's from 1974.
Okay.
Which will probably be pretty tame compared to your horror movies today.
Exactly. Yeah.
But anyway, so there we go, our Christmas list and our Christmas episode. So this is, like I say, our last episode of 2023. So, and as I said, we're recording this before Christmas, but now you're listening to this after Christmas. I hope everybody listening had a great Christmas. If you celebrate Christmas, that is. And I hope, and since this is our last episode of the year, we hope you have a great New Year's Eve and Happy New Year, and don't do anything you shouldn't be doing. And our next episode, which will hopefully schedules align, but we're going to do a recap of the year in metal of 2023 and not talking about any Christmas stuff, just talking about our top albums of the year, our group, the Metal Pit group, and what their albums are, favorite albums of the year, and talk about tours people have seen that my guest will be. And so hopefully that will be the first episode in January. So the first episode of 2024 will be a recap of the last year, 2023. And just to make a note of that, make sure you are checking out our website, themetalpit.org, as we are releasing writers' top 15 albums of the year leading up till January 1st, where we will have our top 15 albums of the whole group combined, like figuring out which ones everybody ranked and everything like that. So make sure you check that out. So thanks, Billy, for joining me on this episode. It was fun to do something a little less metal, I guess you would say. This was the least metalized album we've ever done and probably will ever do. Probably. So thanks, everybody, for listening. Happy New Year, and we will see you next year. Goodbye.